And we're back, guys, to another episode of Dai Gyakuten Saiban 2, Case 1. So, I guess Prosecutor Ouchie was looking forward to something. We were about to see the witnesses, but he needs to have us saying about something here, so let's see what he wants. Oh, and everything is really loud again. Why does that happen? Not bad. There we go. Okay. Indeed, 9 months ago, in the Supreme Courthouse, that unforgettable judgment was passed. I was made to suffer humiliation by a mere self-important student. Here we go again. Naruhodō Ryūnosuke! Yes. The Ouchie clan will never forget my grudge towards you.
The prideful will be tripped up by the young. History has proven that to us. You do well to engrave what you feel in this moment upon your heart.
This little doot. If you tap on a shonehead, you'll hear the sound of civilization and enlightenment. Indeed, the Edo period ended for me. Sounds as though you took your time entering the age of the Meiji Restoration. Shut up! After the day I swore my revenge, a small miracle occurred. Behold, here on my forehead, upon my plains, which I once thought to be barren, a sprout known as hope has appeared. I could feel a small ray of hope radiating from Prosecutor Ouchie's forehead.
I'm afraid I'm not able to see it. Where is this hope that you speak of?
There is no hope, only despair. I thought I told you to shut up! Today, I will slaughter this Hick student who bears the same name, Naruhodō, and I shall dedicate my victory to my hope. You best prepare yourself. Now then, prosecution's witnesses, you may now enter the courtroom. It appears that today's trial will be a major showdown, with high stakes for both sides. Please don't put Haori-sama on the same level as his tiny crop of bangs. Okay, well, obviously one of them is Hosonaga and Souseki. Hello? Now then, if each of you could state your names and occupation. This disguise allows me to hide myself from the world. I'm a detective with the Imperial Police, and my name is Hosonaga Satoru.
I am a future prolific literary master whose name already reverberates throughout this grand imperial city. The author of the smash hit novel I Am a Cat, which is now being serialized, Natsume Souseki.
Who is that?
At ease there, hard-working Hick student. No need to tense your shoulders in my presence.
Right.
I suppose it's only natural that you would be nervous in front of a shining celebrity like me.
Okay. What's Souseki-sama doing here? Be careful, Susato. You met that author back in London. If he realizes who you really are, it's all over. Yes, I know. Natsume Souseki-sama. I couldn't possibly forget him. He seems to have grown a bit stranger since I last saw him. That detective's outlandish appearance looks a bit overshadowed as well. That's quite a look you're giving me. A look? Huh? Speaking of looks, it doesn't look like the detectives recognized me either. That's lucky. Oh, Could it be because of the way I'm dressed? I took it upon myself to replicate my appearance from the time that I witnessed the murder. If you're going to bother doing it in the first place, then testify perfectly. That's my philosophy. I can understand what a detective with the Imperial Police was doing there, but what led to an author like you witnessing the event?
Well, how should I put this? On the day of the murder, I, the author, was summoned to give a lecture. I spent the morning in the large lecture hall at Yume Imperial University.
At Yume University?
And after my lecture, I participated in a pleasant conversation in one of the medical research labs. With that professor there, as a matter of fact.
What? With you, Professor Bigatoba? Yes, it was coordinated by a certain newspaper company. They thought that two fellow exchange students to England could have a lot to discuss.
You see, as a widely discussed literary figure, I'm receiving total coverage. My every move is laid bare, just like this.
Okay, I guess that explains him, but wow. I like that animation though. Right.
The details of our conversation are laid out explicitly in this paper. You would do well to read it too, hard-working students. I seem to have purchased a few too many copies.
Thank you very much. He's shoving the newspaper in my face. Souseki's newspaper article. A newspaper detailing a conversation between my father and Natsume Souseki. It seems to have been very lively.
In any case, after I finished the conversation with the good professor there, a certain English lady appeared in the laboratory and suddenly said, "It will be an honor to be able to see the Japanese Sea with you all."
As I mentioned previously, that woman was never arrested. Even after that trial, she continued her research in my lab under supervision. The university hurriedly consulted with the government and granted permission for that so long as she was supervised by a detective. And I will not conceal the fact that the supervising detective in question was me, Hosanaga. And so they all harmoniously set out for the swimming area together. I was given the task of shooing other people away from that area of the beach. It was quite a chore. I've been in exceptionally good health recently, so... Sure you are. As you can see, I managed to perfectly prepare myself to fulfill my duty. Detective, it appears that there really is something on your face this time. Oh my, begging your pardon. By the way, Father, did you also go to the beach? I didn't, fortunately. I had some work to do. In my place, unfortunately. Murasame-kun, who was assisting in my lab, was invited.
I thoughtlessly went along as I was bid to, but... if only I hadn't gone! Just look what I had to witness! Filled with regret!
I love this animation of those two working together. Like, that's so great. Now then, the court will hear your testimony. Like, surely, this guy in the background taking pictures will definitely not be standing on the witness stand at any point during this. About the facts of the incident you encountered at that fateful beach. Very well, Your Honor.
Filled with regret.
Souseki. Oh, Souseki. The scene we witnessed. That day, I'd been assigned a special mission, so I dressed like this for observation.
I I was playing with a crab on the sand when suddenly I heard a scream behind me.
When we dashed into the hut, those two were in there.
That maiden was straddling the English lady and stabbed her fiercely with the blade she had in her hand.
I saw blood on the blade as she lifted it. I suppose you could say that this is proof that she stabbed her more than once. That's not good. It certainly sounds as though you witnessed the exact moment of the detestable crime.
And here I have one more item as promised. I suppose you could call it decisive evidence.
Is that what you call a fountain pen? I discovered this when I examined the body at the scene of the crime. The victim, in her final moments, gathered the last of her strength and seized the piece of evidence which had fallen into the sand that indicated her killer. What?
Your Honor, would you mind making one more look at the crime scene photo that was presented earlier?
But that's... The victim seems to be intentionally gripping something. Is that swan real or not, man? Because, like, it looks dead too. The item discovered inside her hand was the fountain pen that was just presented. Your Honor, if you could look carefully at this fountain pen. Oh! The owner's initials are engraved upon the ebonite grip. H.M. Haori Murasame. They're a perfect match with the defendant's initials.
No!
The court accepts this fountain pen as vital evidence. Fountain pen the victim was holding. The initials HM are engraved on the grip.
So, what do you think of that? Definitive testimony, conclusive evidence. There's another blue summer sky outside today. Perfect conditions for a guilty verdict, if you ask me.
So this is Prosecutor Aochi-sama. He has a completely different level of intensity than he did 9 months ago. Now then, Attorney Naruhodō, your cross-examination, if you please. Attorney Naruhodō! Naruhodō. Do you mean me? Her? I mean, myself. Do you see any other Naruhodōs here? Actually, there's not even one Naruhodō here. Please, get a grip, Cousin Ryotaro. I've stood in court numerous times as a legal aid. In order to expose the witnesses' lies, I must find contradictions in their testimonies. That is the duty a defense attorney is charged with during a cross-examination. I have no choice but to try. So since the beginning of this recording, I have been holding back a sneeze, or I've been feeling a sneeze coming, and it still hasn't come, and it's driving me nuts. Please. Alright, what are we doing here? Are we pressing everything? I'm not sure yet. I'm just gonna press whatever I got. It'll let me. You were dressed in that festive-looking outfit. Indeed I was. Wait, don't get the wrong impression. It certainly wasn't because that was the first time I ever gone swimming at the beach in my life. Watch over her discreetly. That was the special mission I was assigned that day. Watch discreetly. Being able to conceal one's presence is another important duty of a detective. I hid myself in the salty ocean and peeked above the surface with the turtle. I played the part of a turtle enjoying a leisurely swim. Was it really that important for you to hide yourself? And if it caused you to be delayed in arriving to the crime scene, I'd say you got your priorities backward. Tsunaga. Perhaps it's better if I don't pursue this particular point any further. He was playing with the crab. So would I be correct in assuming that was the victim's scream?
Well, if I were to state it in more literary terms, I suppose I'd say it was a piercing shriek. Eek! That was what it sounded like. Although I suppose at the very least, mine was not nearly as piercing as hers was.
Souseki-sama, you didn't used to be like this.
In any case, when I whirled around, my gaze fell upon that hut.
When you say that hut, you mean... That area is often visited by high-ranking government officials who own villas there. So it's a private beach! You sent a murderer to a private beach! Okay, it's a quiet beach that locals aren't permitted to enter. Jesus, that's just... Japan, please. A simple shack was built there as a changing and break area.
Well, that English lady claimed that shack all for herself, so... I had no choice but to change into my swimming suit out on the beach.
That does sound rather embarrassing.
Anyway, I threw the crab and ran for the hut. Well, if I were to state it in more literary terms, I suppose I'd say I tossed it aside as if it were a crab.
When you say those two, you can't mean... Oh, no, there's no can mean about it. Of course it was the victim, the English lady, and the defendant, Murasame Haori. Oh, them. You should have said so sooner. It seems that you jumped to your own conclusions and now you're getting yourself all disappointed.
That wasn't even any hope to begin with. How foolish.
He says as he taps his own hope.
So, what were the two of them doing when you arrived?
I suppose one could say the events were unfolding with great vigor and force. When I lifted the curtain and entered the hut, the poor English lady had collapsed upon the sand, and the demonic-looking defendant was on top of her. The implications about Haori in this case, man. The sight was so shocking that I thought it would shatter my glasses.
It sounds like it must have been terrible to behold.
It doesn't look like he's lying. So then, you witnessed the same scene, Souseki-sama.
Oh, you're asking me now?
She stabbed her fiercely, and you witnessed this clearly.
I did. Flying death agony, the splatter of crimson blood, Souseki tossing a crab, the detective wearing a turtle. Even now, the scene is burned clearly in the back of my earlobes and the undersides of my eyelids. That is how the future prolific literary master, Natsume Souseki in the flesh, feels after having witnessed it.
Defense! What was with that shrill, girly scream just now?
Right, I am a Japanese man through and through. Oh, that's so hard to translate. Pardon me, Mr. Arthur. There's something I'd like to ask you. Just now, I believe you said that's how you feel, correct? So in other words, could I take that to mean you're not quite sure that's what you saw?
No, that's a definite no! These ears of mine definitely heard that scream, and these eyes of mine definitely saw blood. Why, I could even include a vivid description of the scene in the portion of my novel that's being serialized in tomorrow's paper.
Okay, Souseki.
It sounds like tomorrow's installment of I Am a Cat will be stained with crimson blood.
It seems that author is the type whose assumptions grow stronger the more they're called into question.
Ah, troublesome is the only word to describe that.
Okay, so it looks like we're examining something, so let's see what we're looking at. What are we looking at? The corpse inspection report? Oh no, we're not presenting. Ooh, that was bad. Okay, obviously I'll put the translation on here, but the victim is Giselle Bullitt, female English, approximate depth of time, around 2 p.m. on August 11th, determined via investigation and eyewitness testimony. Cause of death: a single deep stab wound to the back, which punctured the lung and caused death due to the blood loss. Death occurred within minutes of the attack. Remarks: pupils in both eyes were confirmed to be fully contracted. I like how that's added in for some reason. Okay. So I guess we're presenting this, aren't we? Yes. Oh, bless! Bless!
Letting out that shout at the top of my lungs just now made me realize something. Whenever Kazuma-sama and Naruhodō-sama were defending someone, they were facing off against something truly enormous.
It's like the prelude of a rejection theme.
What is it? You're trying to threaten me, you hick student?
Witness, allow me to confirm something.
Ah, yes, well, what do you want from me?
No, I wasn't referring to you, Souseki-sama. I was referring to you, Detective Hosonaga-sama. To me? In your testimony, you stated the following. The killer stabbed the victim several times. Yes, after all, when we entered the scene of the crime, the victim had a dreadful, crazed expression as she waved about a small knife covered in blood. However, that is impossible. What? What do you mean, defense? This theme is so good. It's not even like her official one. Oh no, she took out the book! The following is clearly recorded in the corpse inspection record. The victim was stabbed no more than once. Oh, it stopped. Ooh. Therefore, Detective Hosonaga's testimony contains an obvious contradiction. And here we go. Ah. Also, Souseki-sama.
Me?
Apparently you saw the moment when Hari-sama stabbed the victim.
Yes! Well, you see, she sort of, fiercely went like... Grrr.
Her theme is so nice. However, both of you also testify that the blade she was swinging around already had blood on it. What of it? Think about it. She was only stabbed once with the small knife. In that case, it wouldn't make sense for there to have already been blood on the weapon.
You're right!
Defense. Then, what on earth does this mean? Yes, Your Honor. There is only one conclusion that can be drawn. What you witnessed, Souseki-sama, was not the moment that the victim was stabbed. It was the moment that the knife that had stabbed the victim was pulled out of the body.
No. Don't look at me like that!
Well done, Susato. With that one shrill objection, you seem to have found your footing.
It's been a while since I experienced this feeling. I recall a similar situation in the trial 9 months ago. There was a situation where a dim-witted youngster raised a lazy objection and made quite a stink for us respectable adults.
Indeed, there was. However, the conclusion was that doddering, old respectable adult suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of that so-called dim-witted youngster. Oh, that sick bird!
Silence! I am not senile yet! In any case, all this talk of the number of stab wounds and stabbed this and pulled out that has absolutely no bearing on this case!
And why might that be?
Now listen up! Think about it this way. Murasame Haori first plunged the knife deeply into the victim once, and that was a fatal wound. And then, as she was pulling the knife out, intending to stab the victim again, she was seen. In which case, there would be absolutely no issue with there being blood on the blade, correct? So this Hicks student has proven just one thing. That this mustached literary master is overly hasty and nothing more. Ah!
Wow, way to insult Souseki. He's done nothing wrong, okay? You have a point. If the statement about the defendant brandishing the weapon is indeed true, then I must admit that makes her incredibly suspicious.
But, Your Honor, if she was in fact removing the knife and not stabbing her, it's the same thing!
The same?
Now then, Hicks student, allow me to ask you just one thing. If that schoolgirl is indeed innocent, then why? Why on earth would she go to the trouble of pulling the knife that had stabbed the victim with that demonic expression on her face? If you can come up with a plausible reason, I'd love to hear it!
The reason Haori-sama removed the knife. I see. He's attacking the weak point in your case.
What does that mean?
Now then, defense, let us hear your answer.
To be honest, I'm not completely sure myself. But I have to indicate some sort of possibility here.
A reason that Haori-sama might have removed the knife from the body is to stab her again, to save her, to hide the weapon. Let me save for a second. Oh no, I just realized a problem. I did not save the last file. Oopsies. Honestly, I think we should be fine. I got one of the wrong answers here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that one before we get to the right one. So one of the wrong answers is to hide the weapon. Well, maybe she wanted to hide the weapon?
However, the knife was found sticking out of the sand at the scene of the crime.
Perhaps she realized upon pulling it out that there was nowhere to hide it and simply stuck it there instead. Wow, that's really bad. It would seem that the defense would do well to look that answer over again. But, begging your pardon, Your Honor.
I knew it. The pressure of standing in this position is terrifying.
Be that as that may, there's no excuse to speak without thinking. But please, give me one more chance. Well, the real answer here, is to save her life. According to the corpse inspection report, the victim did not die instantly. Indeed, it's likely that she was conscious for a short time after.
The victim was actually clutching a piece of evidence that indicated her killer, you see.
Regardless, Haori-sama, an assistant in the medical department, saw the victim suffering before her very eyes. Removed the knife in an attempt to save her. I mean, that is a possibility.
Did you hear that, Your Honor? It seems that this is the best this Hicks student can do.
So it would seem.
What's this curious chill I feel all of a sudden?
I have a request, Your Honor. What might that be? Allow me to testify one more time regarding the vague statements this Hicks student just made.
Vague? A splendid
splendid idea, Detective. It would seem that though this Hick student does indeed possess a knowledge of the law, but he does not possess even an inkling of an inkling when it comes to forensic medicine. Or perhaps I should say he doesn't even possess common sense.
Very well, Detective. The court requests your testimony regarding the claim the defense just made. I, Hosonaga, shall speak plainly. And we're going to do that in the next video, because I believe we're now at the 3-minute mark. We are. So, we shall look into this testimony in the next video. I will see you guys then.
And after my lecture, I participated in a You're right! Wait, you're not right, you're Susato!